All right, guys, today we're doing lesson 9.7, volumes of prisms. We've been focusing on area for the last two lessons, which is the amount of flat space on a surface. But now we're going to be talking about what volume is, and the important thing about volume is that it is the amount of three-dimensional space inside of a figure, okay? So the volume of a closed three-dimensional figure is the number of cubic units it contains. So when we talked about area, we talked about square units. When we're talking about volume, we're going to be talking about cubic units. So let's say we're talking about a cubic centimeter. That would be indicated as cm cubed, okay, cm cubed. And we have a formula for the volume of a prism. So the volume, capital V, of a prism is the area of the base. Now notice that that is a big B, not a little b, and that makes a difference. So it's the area of the base times the height, okay? And the area of the base, big B, is equal to L times W, okay? The bases of a prism are the opposite parallel faces in the prism, okay? So let's start in on this. Example number 1 says, what is the volume of the rectangular prism shown? So here's our formula for volume. V is equal to big B times H, where big B is the length times the width. So let's plug in what we have. Volume is equal to big B is length times width. So here's our length, 4 centimeters. Where's our width? Our width is right here. Our width is 2 centimeters. So now we have that big B, length times width. And now we're going to do times height, which is 3 centimeters. So the volume is 4 times 2 times 3, which is 24. And we have centimeters, and this is volumed. So our units are cubed. Box skill check number 1. Number 2, what is the volume? What is the volume? Okay, guess I already wrote that there. I want to walk you through it though. So volume is equal to big B times H, where big B is length times width. Here's our length, 12. Here's our width, 8. And then lastly our height, 6. So we have 12 times 8 times 6, and that gives us 576 centimeters cubed. If you'd like to challenge yourself by doing box skill check number 1, number 1, you should get 27 centimeters cubed. Now, what is the volume of this triangular prism? Sometimes the bases of a prism are not on the bottom or the top, because remember we defined our bases of a prism. We defined our bases of a prism as the opposite parallel faces. So the opposite parallel faces in this triangular prism are these two triangles right here. Okay, there's our height, and we have our base of these two triangles. Okay, so when we're figuring out our volume, we're going to do volume is equal to big B, which in this case, the area of a triangle is 1/2 little b times H. Okay, so volume is big B, which is 1/2 little b times H. So 1/2 times little b, okay, which is 8, times our height, okay, which is 3, okay. And then we multiply that by our height here, by 10. So 1/2 times 8 times 3 times 10 gives us 120 meters cubed. Example number 3. What is the height of a rectangular prism whose base is 5 inches by 7 inches and the volume is 385 inches squared? Okay, so we need to plug in what we have. We know our formula is V is equal to big B times H. Okay, so we are given the fact that the base is 5 inches by 7 inches. So big B is equal to 5 by 7, which is 35. And we're given our volume, which is equal to 385. 385. And I actually wrote squared there. That should be cubed. Okay. So now we know volume is 385, and that is equal to our big B, which is 35, times little h, which we don't know. So there's our variable. How are we going to solve for little h? Little h is being multiplied by 35. So we need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, and divide both sides by 35. 35 by 35, that goes away there, leaving us h all alone, which is what we wanted because we wanted to figure out what is h. And h is equal to 385 divided by 35, which is 11 inches. So the height of this rectangular prism is 11 inches. Now let's take a look at box skill check number 2. We're going to do number 2. So first we need to identify where's the base of this triangular prism. And remember, our bases are the opposite parallel faces. So these are the opposite parallel faces, our triangles right here, okay? So area of a triangle, which is the area of the base, is 1/2 little b times h. So our volume here is going to be equal to 1/2 times our little b times h, so 5 times 6, and then times the height of the entire triangular prism, which is 10. So 1/2 times 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30, so 1/2 times 30 is 15, and then 15 times 10 is 150, and we're talking about centimeters cubed in this case. Now, if you want to challenge yourself by doing box skill check number 2, number 1, you should arrive at the answer of 675 meters cubed. That's for number 1, if you want to challenge yourself. Now, let's look at example number 3. Or not example number 3, sorry, number 3 in box skill check number 2. It says, find the height of a triangular prism whose volume is 476 millimeters. Oh, you know what? And the book says millimeters squared, and I just copied that, but we're talking about volume, so that should be millimeters cubed. If the base and the height of the triangular base are 8 millimeters and 7 millimeters respectively, okay? So this one is pretty tricky. You've got to hang on with me with this one, okay? So volume is equal to big B times h, right? And what we're trying to figure out here is what is the h? What is the height of this triangular prism, okay? If it's a triangular prism, our base is going to be equal to the area of the triangle. So 1/2 times, and we're given the little base, the little b, okay, and little h of the triangular base, so 8 times 7. So we need to figure out what is 1/2 times 8 times 7. Well, 1/2 times 8 is what? 4, okay? 4 times 7 is 28. So the area of our triangle, okay, of our triangular base is 28 millimeters squared, right? There's the area. So now we're going to plug in what we know, because we know that the volume was 476 millimeters cubed, and we know that big B is 28. So 476 is equal to 28 times little h, We need to get little h all alone, so we divide both sides of the equation by 28. 28 divided by 28 is 1, so that cancels out. That's what we want. Leaves h all alone, and h is equal to 476 divided by 28, which is 17. So the height of our triangular prism is 17.